and welcome to Eagle News International Australia Oceania. I'm Armelin Martin from Sydney, bringing you stories from Australia, New Zealand and Papua New Guinea. These are the headlines. Victoria announces more changes in COVID-19 restrictions. Australia endures heat waves over the weekend as summer season begins. Philippine Overseas Labour Office in New Zealand commemorates first anniversary. Filipino community in Papua New Guinea showcases sumptuous Pinoy dishes. Church of Christ in Victoria reaches out to international students with aid to humanity. Logan City unveils new trail strategies for healthy lifestyle and recreation. Bushwalks abound in Sydney suburbs for locals and tourists to rediscover. And Van Gogh comes alive with a virtual artwork exhibition in Sydney. Here's our first story. With Victoria beginning its long-awaited return to normalcy through the slow easing of restrictions, new details on the rules and regulations have been released during a press conference by the Victorian Premier. Our Melbourne correspondent, Daryl Castillejos, has more details. Daryl?
Welcoming news was announced on Sunday, November 22nd as the Victoria's continuous easing of restrictions. Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews revealed more details in what Victorians can expect in the coming weeks. Here are some of the changes. From November 23, rules about mandatory use of masks have been eased. Civilians are no longer required to use a mask outdoors as long as social distancing of 1.5 meters is maintained. The use of a mask, however, is required indoors or in any place where a big crowd is gathered. Thus, people are expected to carry a mask at all times. The number of household visitors have also been extended. 15 visitors are now allowed in a household across a whole day, excluding the residents and infants. From December 13, further changes in household gatherings are also expected. Other changes include an increase in number of people allowed in gyms, sports venues, as well as in religious gatherings, weddings and funerals, wherein 150 people are allowed to gather in a place of worship indoors, while a maximum of 500 outdoors. A maximum of 300 people can be hosted in hospitality venues, with 100 people allowed indoors. 50 patrons are allowed indoors in smaller venues. From November 30, there were changes regarding employees in the workplaces. A staggered approach was used with 25% of workers allowed to return to their workplace at any one time. Remaining workers are advised to continue working from home. Reporting from Melbourne, Australia, this is Daryl Castillejos, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Daryl. We congratulate the state of Victoria on its efforts. As Australia transitions from spring to summer, natives are experiencing changes in climate with a string of heat waves felt across the country. Eagle News correspondent Diana Pedro is here to share with us weather updates. Diana?
Australia experiences low intensity to extreme heat waves just as we enter the official start of summer season in December. A heat wave is defined by the Australian government's Bureau of Meteorology as unusually high maximum and minimum temperatures that last for 3 or more days. The Bureau closely monitors this weather event because the country is very prone to heat waves, particularly between the months of October and March. Heat waves have in fact claimed more lives than any other natural hazards in the past and has caused numerous bushfires. Early in the last week of November, the heat waves began with a low intensity in the northern regions of the country, namely the states of Northern Territory and Queensland, as well as areas in Western Australia. Then, as the week progressed, they have spread downwards and eastwards, particularly to the states of New South Wales and Victoria. Conditions eventually reach extremes in northeast New South Wales and southern Queensland. The Department of Health continues to advise everyone to take extra precautions, most especially vulnerable individuals like older adults, pregnant women, infants, and young children, people who have illnesses or take certain medications, those who work in hot environments, and people who live alone or are socially isolated. Simple things that we can do are keeping ourselves cool through loose clothing, staying out of the sun, or better yet, indoors, and using air conditioning, staying hydrated, looking out for each other, and keeping ourselves aware of the weather forecast and prepared for emergencies. Reporting from Sydney, Australia, this is Diana Pedro, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Diana. Let's all be safe and protected in this erratic season. Moving on to New Zealand. The Philippine Overseas Labour Office commemorates its first anniversary, celebrating a milestone of service to the Filipino community in the country. Here's our correspondent in Wellington City, Greg Besa, for the story. Greg?
It was late last year when the Philippine Overseas Labour Office was established in New Zealand with a mandate to protect, defend, and promote the best interests of thousands of overseas Filipino workers who are employed and are providing the needed manpower in various vital industries across the country. Considering that the first year is the most crucial and challenging part of its establishment, let us revisit on how Polo New Zealand was able to carry out its mandate, particularly in responding to the needs of Filipino migrant workers. No other than the Philippine Secretary of Labor and Employment, the Honorable Sylvester Bello III, who graced the opening of the Philippine Overseas Labour Office in Wellington City on 16 November of last year. Secretary Bello mentioned during this occasion that the establishment of the Philippine Overseas Labour Office in New Zealand was the Philippine government's response to the growing needs of thousands of Filipino migrant workers across the country. As Polo continues to look after the employment welfare of the workers, Angel Borja Jr., the first labor attaché to be assigned, shared the accomplishments of Polo as well as the challenges it encountered during the first year of its operation.
So, with a presence at the New Zealand itself of Polo, we are also able to address in real time matters that workers and other stakeholders bring to the attention of Polo for purposes of progressing along the lines of making our workers be able to adjust to the rules and regulations here in New Zealand concerning their work status. And going forward, Polo had, as well as the embassy, in cooperation with the embassy, had been going to different locations in New Zealand to conduct community forums with our work visa holders in those areas to explain to them and ascertain their conditions, explain to them what government assistance are in store for them. That they could...
On the other hand, members of the Filipino community in New Zealand conveyed their greetings to the first anniversary of Polo as they recognized the crucial role it played in protecting, defending, and promoting the best interests of overseas Filipino workers in the country.
It's really a godsend that the Polo was established here after the embassy had lobbied long and hard for the establishment of one, given that we now have 80,000 Filipinos in New Zealand, and about half of them are work or temporary visa holders. So we'd particularly like to thank Secretary Sylvester Bello.
I am very grateful and honored for their hard work and dedication in serving to Filipinos in New Zealand.
Isa po kami. Isa po ako sa inyong natulungan. At yung ayuda po ng gobyerno para sa mga nawalan ng trabaho, nakarating po sa amin ng maayos at kumpleto.
Reporting for Eagle News New Zealand Bureau, this is Greg Besa. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Greg, and congratulations once again to the Philippine Overseas Labour Office in New Zealand. Heading now to Papua New Guinea. One unique element that defines a culture is its culinary repertoire. The Filipino Association in Papua New Guinea spearheaded an activity to showcase all-time favourite Filipino cuisine to the general public. Eagle News correspondent Echo Hortaleza Quinola shares more of this story. Echo?
The officers of the Filipino Association of Papua New Guinea are the forefront of the Filipino community. These officers encouraged our talented kababayans to showcase their cooking skills. With this, sumptuous, quality, and affordable Filipino desserts were sold to the general public. Food stalls were lined up in front of the Filipino clubhouse. Food sellers displayed their different traditional lutong bahay specialties. As Sunday is known as a family day, the kababayans brought their friends, office mates, and loved ones to enjoy the array of available food.
We mainly sell the Filipino foods for the community, and for now we're just starting, but I know and we believe that this will be a good one.
You'll get to choose from a whole range of Pinoy signature and staple dishes. Lechon and chicken inasal, as well as mouth-watering desserts and delicacies surely satisfied many cravings.
Yung ating mga Filipino food, kailangan din natin silang i-promote at para makaramdaman ng mga kababayan natin na kahit nasa ibang bansa tayo ay makakatikim sila ng mga lutong Pinoy na pinagmamalaki ng bawat isa.
This activity, introduced by the Filipino community, does not only help attract customers, but also leaves a positive experience to the overseas Filipino workers. With the economic problems brought by the COVID-19 pandemic, small businesses were still evidently able to boom. The food business is surely fun.
Sa mga gusto mag-food trip, punta na kayo sa Papnang.
Seeing our business-minded kababayans only shows that Filipinos are indeed sedulous, wise, and resilient. They take this pandemic as an opportunity to start small businesses that will someday grow and thrive. Reporting from Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea, Echo Hortaleza Quinola, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Echo. All those treats look absolutely delicious. After the break, we will hear about the aid to humanity by the Church of Christ members in Victoria, reaching out to international students. Also, we will learn of Logan City's new trail strategies for healthy lifestyle and recreation. Plus, let's rediscover bushwalks that abound in Sydney suburbs for locals and tourists to enjoy. And let's take a look at the amazing artworks by the great artist Vincent van Gogh in a live virtual exhibition in Sydney. All these stories when Eagle News International Australia Oceania returns. Stay tuned.
Hello there. Imagine Demi got the virus and she infected 2 more. And those 2 infected a lot more of people. And it goes on and on until it became an epidemic. But what if Demi stayed at home? Then those 2 wouldn't have contracted the virus. Then those people would have not been infected. This is not just your battle, it's everyone's, and you can be a huge help. Follow social distancing, or better yet, stay at home.
toilet paper at tissue boxes mo. Hindi mo ba alam, mauubos daw ang mga tissue products? Bakit naman? Ang raw materials daw ng mask at tissue products ay iisa lang. Saan naman galing ang balitan yan? Ay basta, narinig ko lang din. Maraming diling kayang nagpo-post sa Facebook at Twitter, kaya kung ako sa'yo, kumuha ka na din. Sige na't mauna na ako sa'yo ah.
Huwag basta-basta magpaniwala
sa mga nakikita
o nababasa sa social media.
Magsaliksik at i-verify ang lahat ng impormasyon
nakukuha sa internet.
Tandaan,
maging responsable tayo
sa paggamit ng social media
nang hindi magdulot ng panic sa iba.
Kung paanong dapat labanan ng COVID-19
ay gayon din ang ating pagsugpo
sa black propaganda
at
maling impormasyon.
Dennis Lu,
Lou Amelda,
Luigian Alfartosa,
Tyranel Pililu,
Hannibal Arevalo,
EBC,
Japan Euro. We live in interesting times.
Welcome back. You are watching Eagle News International Australia Oceania. As international students have been immensely affected by the COVID-19 restrictions, the members of the Iglesia Ni Cristo or Church of Christ in Victoria extended support through the Aid to Humanity program. Our correspondent in Melbourne, Dwight Albert Baloloy, has more details. Dwight?
In partnership with the 5E's Humanitarian Incorporated, the Iglesia Ni Cristo Aid to Humanity program collaborated with the organizers to reach out to the Filipino community, especially the international students who were affected by this global pandemic. The 5E's Humanitarian Incorporated was established back in March 29, 2020 at the early onset of the global health crisis, with its goals to produce an organization to passionately give aid to the needy and deliver humanitarian services to the people, especially during these trying times. The 5E's Humanitarian Incorporated collaborated with the Iglesia Ni Cristo members through the Aid to Humanity program, launched by INC's Executive Minister Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, to reach out and help the Filipino community in Geelong, Victoria, especially the international students who were greatly affected by this ongoing global pandemic.
The main advocacy of the 5E's Humanitarian is just to help everyone, especially now that we're undergoing some health crisis in the whole global. So the 5Bs have been put in groups and then try to understand what does the community needs right now, especially from our international students. So basically the group have started to communicate in terms of how are the demands and how the needs help to respond with this COVID-19. In the Filipino community, most likely the help that they always need is somebody to support them or to talk to. So financially we cannot sort it out because it's a big scope or scale for help. But being there with them and try to understand what are their needs and what are their things that they're going to be adhering for the crisis, that's going to be a big help for them to overcome and understand and be there for them at the very most difficult time. As a human being, you should have to understand how you're going to be dealing with all the scarcities and poverty. Supporting humanity is a non-stop. It's on a big scale that at any form you can be dealing with it. Us as a group, we are still addressing every now and then what are the needs of everyone. So these needs is not a full scope of the COVID-19. Even after COVID-19 and how we're going to go through in a normal life, we're still continuing it. As long as other organizations and other builders of the group that collaborates us, we're going to be united and help each other to have a good future. Because we are very lucky in Melbourne now that we've been controlling the whole COVID-19, but somehow we're still looking for that one away from global. So we're trying to start addressing it in a humanitarian way. Okay, to Mr. Eduardo V. Manalo, thank you for giving the opportunity to have 5Bs and our other teams to be part of this project. And we are looking forward to meet you in person and try to discuss more projects in terms of community help. And I'm really sure I'm very proclaimed to help you with whatever missions that you guys have.
We also want to extend our gratitude to the 5B's Humanitarian Group for giving us the chance to also work with you. We really recognize the hard work that all of you are doing. Speaking with you, hearing about the efforts and sacrifices that you have made also inspires us to want to help as well. But of course, above all, the reason why we help, and this is our faith based on God's teachings written in the Bible, that it is the commandment of our Lord God and our Lord Jesus Christ for us to help those who are in need.
Reporting from Geelong, Victoria, I am Dwight Albert Baloloy, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Dwight, for that very inspiring story. In Queensland, the City of Logan has undertaken a proactive approach to environmental awareness and recreational experience by launching new trail strategies as part of the city's active strategy plan. Our correspondent in Logan, Miyako Ong, is here to share more updates. Miyako?
Summer is fast approaching and the Logan City Council has boosted up the city's excitement. The City Council here in Southeast Queensland has updated the active Logan strategy plan that is subjected for implementation in 2020 to 2024. The City Council has created a new recreational trail strategy involving mountain bike components, kayaking, and canoeing. Mountain biking is commonly seen in Logan. The Daisy Hill mountain biking trails were used for mountain bike racing in August 2020. However, these trails are now overused and poses risk to its users and the environment. To sustain this activity, the City Council has decided to install safety precautions by adding maps, signs, and trail names. The proposal for canoeing and kayaking trails in Logan and Albert River is also in action. This will grant more opportunities to enjoy the nature that Logan City has to offer. The Logan River offers natural sites that lead to the rivers of Riverdale Park and Tansay. The City Council has suggested to construct trailhead signage and install floating interpretive panels to keep visitors safe and sound. This strategy plan is an opportunity for the city to attract tourists and to encourage a healthy lifestyle among the local community, further aiming to improve physical and mental health to minimize health expenditure. It also helps the economy as trail construction and maintenance produces employment. It is expected for Logan City to gain recognition as an active and healthy community. With these strategies being implemented, there will be more fun and activities that visitors and residents of Logan will gladly enjoy. Reporting from Logan, Australia, this is Miyako Ong, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Miyako. We can't wait to see the completion of Logan City's projects. Moving on now to Sydney. Bushwalking and nature's trails have many benefits that come with enjoying a stroll at often missed organic charms. Here's Eagle News correspondent Abigail Karungai to walk us through some hidden sights for us to enjoy. Lead the way, Abigail.
Many people overlook the benefits that bushwalks and natural trails have. These walks can be an escape from the hustle and bustle of everyday living. In addition, these walks are located in the middle of dense residential areas that are only minutes from suburban homes. Here are some walks in the hills and surrounding Parramatta area. Between the suburbs of Carlingford and North Rocks is Hunts Creek Reserve, which has 5.4 kilometers of both bush trails and cycleway. The reserve even has a small waterfall, Balaka Falls, which is an impressive sight after rainfall. People can walk, bike, and enjoy the native flora and fauna. The suburbs of Rydalmere, Dundas, and Carlingford are connected by a forest corridor known as the Ponds Walk, which has 7.2 kilometers of winding bush track with creek crossings and very small parks where bushwalkers can have a rest stop. The Platypus Track in Castle Hill is a 2.4-kilometer loop through fern-filled gullies and along 2 different creeks. Picnic and bathroom facilities are also accessible at the nearby Eric Mobbs Reserve. This short track can be completed in just 1.5 hours, making it the perfect breather in a hectic day. Lake Parramatta Reserve has 75 hectares of bushland surrounding the man-made lake and is the habitat for many different native species. The reserve also has many paths, including the 4.3-kilometer lake circuit, which is a pleasant way to spend the day. These are just some examples of the many local walks that are waiting to be discovered, not just in the hills and Parramatta area, but even in other suburbs. Thanks to these bushwalks, it makes it easy to appreciate how easy it is to go outside, exercise, and enjoy nature. Reporting from Sydney, Australia, this is Abigail Karungai. Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Abigail, for pointing out all these beautiful spots that we can visit. Now, still in Sydney, the city is paying homage to one of the most renowned and iconic artists in history, Vincent van Gogh, adding a modernistic twist. Our correspondent Samantha DeMillo will give us more than a peek of this great artist's works. Sam?
Vincent van Gogh was a Dutch post-impressionist artist who was among the most famous and influential figures in Western art. In Sydney, Van Gogh's works come to life through live projections of his masterpieces at Van Gogh Alive, the experience at the Royal Hall of Industries. Van Gogh created approximately 2,100 artworks in just over a decade, his most notable works being The Starry Night, Sunflowers, Bedroom in Arles, The Potato Eaters, Portrait of Dr. Gachet, Wheatfield with Crows, The Siesta, and Church at Auvers. Van Gogh is renowned for cutting off his left ear after a confrontation with his friend Gogh. At Van Gogh Alive, Sydney-siders are able to experience and immerse themselves in Van Gogh's artworks through live projections and music. A range of ages were present at the exhibition, from babies to grandparents, enjoying the artworks of Van Gogh. All visitors were required to wear a mask throughout the duration of the exhibition for the safety of everyone attending. The live exhibition will be in Sydney until the 20th of December. If you don't want to miss out, make sure to go. Reporting from Sydney, Australia, this is Samantha DeMillo for Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Samantha. What an amazing multi-sensory experience to enjoy. Now that ends today's program. Thank you for watching Eagle News International Australia Oceania. Join us again next week as we share more stories from our bureaus across Australia, New Zealand and Papua New Guinea. Visit our websites on eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Don't forget to follow us on twitter.com/eaglenews and on facebook.com/eaglenews. Stay safe, stay strong and take care, everyone. From Sydney, Australia, I'm Armelin Martin. Eagle News, we live in interesting times.